So no problem. So I will take it up later and
Yes, sir.
इसको फिर बाद में कर लेंगे. Shared को stop कर देता हूँ अभी.
हाँ, ठीक है.
Stop sharing. We'll do it later.
Okay, sir.
Great. So I'm ready. And how many participants are there typically?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Let me introduce, sir. Actually, sir, total registered participant for our FDP is more than 2,100.
More than
2,100.
great.
Okay. Say, and apart from that, sir, we are also streaming it live. Okay, on a YouTube.
Okay.
So what there also usually we used to see that people used to join 1,000 or around so. Okay.
Okay. Great.
So actually, sir, yeah, we are using a WebEx. So in a WebEx, here the total number of attendees 1,000, and others will be joining through a YouTube. Okay.
No problem.
Okay. So at the end of the sir your talk, if you allow us to ask a question, then probably we will take care from here as well as from a YouTube also.
Okay, I certainly want questions to come because
Yes,
those will be important as a information knowledge and otherwise also.
yes, sir.
So let the questions come. I'll keep last 10 minutes typically. And
Yes.
okay, and yes, questions are more than welcome.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So, very good afternoon, sir. Here is Bharat Gupta.
Good afternoon,
Bharat
Bharat.
Gupta from NIT, sir, Patna.
Yeah,
So,
I had a discussion with him on phone. So nice to see both of you. Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Same here.
Good afternoon,
We
sir.
are very grateful that to have you here on our.
Vineet sir is also joined. Vineet sir has also joined, sir.
Okay.
Carry on, carry on.
Good afternoon, sir. Vineet sir.
Good afternoon, Bharat. Good afternoon, sir. Sanjay sir.
Hi, Vineet. How are you? Good afternoon.
Fine. नहीं सर काफी टाइम बाद देखा है आपको.
हाँ, पर हम आपको नहीं देख पा रहे हैं अभी.
एक मिनट सर मैं एडजस्ट करता हूँ सर.
हाँ, वीडियो शायद आपका भी ऑन नहीं है.
एडजस्ट टी-शर्ट करनी है, वीडियो थोड़ी करना है.
During the FDP, we organizer usually close our video. Only the expert and the slides.
No problem. So as you like, whatever the protocols, because the numbers are large, video has no meaning. So
yes.
How is it going? Last 2 days? Great.
Yes, it is going great, sir.
We have completed 2 days and 3rd day is today, sir.
Yes.
Means the Professor D.B. Patak sir, T.V. Prabhakar sir, Kanan sir yesterday from IIT Bombay, and Mangla K sir. So four lecture completed.
4 lectures completed. All stalwarts have already done their role to begin with. Well,
Still not yet, sir. Still not yet. You are also in that list, sir.
No. I am not in that category. I was recommending many such names to you.
Okay.
So at least in future you can take care and avoid people like us.
Definitely, sir. Definitely.
Yes, sir.
Actually, sir.
Already.
Yes, sir. Sir, please, sir.
Sir, as already Amit sir has already updated to you regarding this how many participants. So around 2,200 participants exactly are registered here, and in which around 90% are faculty. 90 to 92% are faculty. That is 2,208 exactly faculties are there.
Very good.
It is a completely show for the faculties.
Very nice. Yeah. I've been part of one of the other ICT academy, which is based in Tamil Nadu. It was roughly 2 months back. And they were also very, very big. In fact, in that particular case, the interest was of slightly different kind. And they had entire 5,000 registrations. And 5,000 was the capacity of their system. And 3,600 plus came online for the session, which I was addressing. And I was under awe that such a large crowd. This was roughly 2 months back. So ICT Academy seems to be doing well. You people seems to be doing well. Even 2,000 is very big by any imagination or standards.
So Definitely, sir. We seek your blessing and your guidance also, sir, so that we can run it successfully. We need Saula, sir, so who always help us to and encourage us to conduct such kind of FDP, sir.
I think I'm
Very
getting
nice.
I'm getting names because of their work, sir.
Very nice, sir. And Sancheti, sir, in whatever the participants has registered, they are in a variety of the field, not only engineering, they are from the arts, science, as well as few of them are from the medical field also.
Yeah.
So we have a very large variety
That's
of
a very good thing because we need to help each other. And of course, there is a lot of cross connections now.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's very important.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sir, if you say we can start now. Sir, start करें आप कहें तो?
Bilkul, I'm ready. And good to see you now.
Yeah. Yeah, Bharat, Amit, good afternoon formally. Should we go ahead now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We can go ahead.
Dr. Jiten Maurya is also there and Dr. Nagesh Karmali. Welcome.
Yeah.
So, good afternoon, all of you, panelists and participants. I welcome you to the third day and the first session. We have eminent person here who truly has proven his leadership in education, research, and other aspects also. I have a privilege to have him as a head of a department way back, and another privilege now to read his biodata. Professor Sancheti, Professor Sandeep Sancheti, he is known as an institution builder, holds a PhD from Queen's University Belfast, UK, MSc Engineering from DTU, Delhi, and BTech from NIT Warangal. He is currently Vice Chancellor of SRM Institute of Science and Technology, Chennai, SRM IST, and also past President of Association of Indian Universities, New Delhi. Formerly, he was also President of Manipal University at Jaipur, Director of NIT Delhi, and Director of NIT Surat for the full term. He also served as the Director in charge of NIT Tiruchirappalli, NIT Calicut, School of Planning and Architecture, SPA Delhi, and Mentor Director of NIT Goa, NIT Puducherry, NIT Sikkim. We see a lot of experience behind him. Sorry. He started his career by serving MBM Engineering College, Jodhpur, and he has served a long stint at MNIT Jaipur with us, where he has been head of department, dean, and has played many roles in institution building itself, starting from that, and has more than 36 years of total teaching, research, and administrative experience. He is a member of Council, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He is chairman, board of governors for MLV Textile Engineering College, Bhilwara in Rajasthan, and Jodhpur Institute of Engineering and Technology, Jodhpur. He is also serving different professional bodies, that is SPIC-MACE, FICCI, a commercial organization in India, CII, EPSI, Atal Innovation Mission, etc. in different capacities. In addition, he is on various national bodies, national level bodies as UGC, AICT, and AIU for higher education related matters, and has been a part of Indian delegations abroad. He is recipient of Commonwealth Scholarship and Fellowship under Colombo Plan, and was a visiting faculty at Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok, Thailand in the past. Fellow of IET as well as IE, ISTE, BES, and a member of IEEE USA. He has contributed more than 80 research papers in journals and conferences of repute. In past, he was a member of 12th Plan Preparation Committee for MHRD, very prestigious one. Member of Kakodkar Committee for Review of NITs. That also is a very significant work done by that committee. The reports are available. Member Governing Council ESCI Hyderabad. Member Executive Council ESCI Delhi. Chairman AIEEE in the past. Chairman DASA, which are both a scheme of MHRD. Chairman QIP, Polytechnic Scheme of AICT. Member Governing Body and the Board of CBSE New Delhi. BCCI Mumbai. SAI New Delhi, and NCTE New Delhi, NIR DPR Hyderabad, and Academic Advisory Board of Microsoft India. He is keen player of bridge and squash. Thus, yeah, I can endorse that definitely. And is an active member of Rotary and other few social organizations. Over to you, sir. Thank you very much for being with us and for sparing your valuable time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Vineet Sahula. Thank you, Professor Bharat, Professor Amit, and all the members of the Electronic and ICT Academy for this wonderful opportunity. I'm delighted to be with you today. Are you able to listen to me? Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Hello? Yeah, okay, that's fine. And thank you for this wonderful opportunity, because this is a time when we can adopt, we can change, we can reconfigure ourselves. Time is in our control to some extent. And then the technology has come in a very, very big way to us during COVID times particularly. So I'm very happy that all those things are happening simultaneously right now. And as a result, I think the changes are happening, changes are inevitable. And on top of that, probably I can say that the NEP has added, declaration of NEP or announcement of NEP has added furthermore value in terms of what we can do. So friends, with this background, I'm very happy that a good number of participants have been able to join. And I'll be dealing on a subject which is the use of ICT for delivering student-centric education. This is something also being highlighted. If you have seen in recent times, in last 10 days after announcement of policy, a lot of people are talking about that. I myself was in one of the webinars just now, and that's where we are talking about a similar kind of an aspect. So you understand the importance of that, and I'll try to give you certain background here and there. But I think ICT Academy has invited members from all, you can say, different disciplines and sectors. People from arts, commerce, medical domain are also there. So my address would remain to be a little general, I would say. I don't want to go into any specific tool or a specific technology when I'm discussing matters with you right now. I just want to make sure that you get an excitement that what are the kind of changes we are going to get, and you also get an excitement that how we can become part of that. And therefore it's going to be generic. Some reference here and there, or reference of some technology or some tool might come, but I'm not exactly delivering on a specific ICT tool, which may also be the case during the course of your training right now, or whatever the program you are trying to attend in the next few days. And therefore, please feel free and feel comfortable. I've tried to put some slides for comfort of you. If you so wish, I can try and share that with you also. And if you so like, you can always write to me on my email address, which is given right now. As you can see, vc@srmist.edu.in. I can talk to you. I can share my answers to you. So in the end, once we try to finish, I think the question and answers would be more important, because it will allow us to read your mind, and it will also help us to enrich our thinking in terms of if there are certain voids or certain gaps which are there. So all in all, this is going to be a lecture which is going to probably create a little bit of enthusiasm about technology, and a little bit more about what we can do through the new education policy. So I've been giving you a small part of introduction anyway, and you are probably seeing here in this introduction that technology is something which is sometimes linked to time. Technology comes in time, technology vanishes in time. In education also, the same thing happened. You probably know that higher education particularly, we have what we call education 1.0, 2.0, 3.0, 4.0. Currently, we are in 4.0 mode. If you do not know that, in very, very simple terms, 1.0 was something like Gurukula times or whatever. The education 2.0, probably because of the printing presses and books and all that, that the massification happened. The education 3.0 is more of technology which came into, but it's still very limited. And that technology was all this PPT and all this little bit of uses of internet and all that also came into the education 3.0. And currently we are talking of education 4.0, which is nothing but the student-centric education. And hence I chose that particular topic. I may kind of give you a glimpse of what education 4.0 can be there. It's parallel to what we call in the generations of what we call in mobiles, or maybe in industry also we have a similar kind of a parallel generation which is happening, and therefore everything has a time period to which it lasts. It's a different thing in education or in technology. In many cases, all of the things will last, but not for everything. They will find a niche for itself and they'll be used there. If you see the communication technology, even the old standard telephone would be still be useful, or the cable telephone will also be useful, whereas the wireless has become the mainstay. So every technology finds a niche and use. So in general, you can say everything which comes into existence will ceases to exist, or basically it may not become permanent in every sense, but in some limited sense, it can become permanent. And therefore, the changes are essential. And the change is what we are trying to talk about right now. And you probably know why the change is happening, because the knowledge is doubling pretty fast. And then we do not know in most cases what is the best before or the date of expiry of a given knowledge. As we know that many companies have suddenly vanished. Nokia in the telephony, particularly we saw maybe the Kodak in what we call in the photography, and there are so many other things which have kind of vanished. I think the same we are going to see in the manufacturing, which will become very distributed, and maybe some of the bigger companies probably will cease to exist because it's all distributed manufacturing. So it's an age of knowledge tsunami, and how to keep yourself abreast in facing the tsunami, and how to take the advantage of the tsunami. Would there be a certainty in what you are doing, or would there be no certainty? All those things we probably can harp upon during this particular discussion, if you so like. And obviously, many of you might be from the engineering background. I'm from an engineering background, and generally we are trying to do something by setting the target. So by setting the goal, we try to work towards achieving that. I think that is a practice we try to follow. But in this case, the problem is the goal post or the goal itself is getting shifted, or it's not well understood, and therefore we have certain challenges. And that is why some of you feel little itchy or uncomfortable. Oh, suddenly this has been imposed, that has been imposed. Many of us are currently uncomfortable with, let's say, the examination systems. The country is fighting over that. There are court cases on that. There are many people who are questioning skilling part of it, that how the skilling can be delivered. So once again, that question is there in our mind. Many people are saying the cost should come down or should come up or things like that, because they think if we are not physical or not in the offline mode, we are not getting the right thing. I think that is not the case. World over, if I say technology is changing, and future is also changing, and the way we proceed is also changing. Hence, we have to dream for the future, envision the future, which is technology based, and try to work towards that. I'll try to give you some examples of that, if I can give in that direction. And can I move the slide? I think I'm unable to move this slide. Yeah, okay. So if I try to talk about this particular slide, I'm sure many of you will connect with that. Is technology driving the future? I want to tell you for sure that we have no way, whether you like or dislike technology, technology has got into our lives. And there are many prominent examples. If you start possibly for last 200 years, I'm not going into the invention of wheel and all that, motive power, industrialization, flying machines, world wars, nuclear technologies, all these which I have put in yellow are possibly the ones which define the industrial age, and which define the wars, and which define the redistribution of the geography of the world, and someone becoming power and superpower, and various things coming into a form of organizations called UN and NATO and all. But then later, all these semiconductors, computers, internets, mobile, and now, of course, resurfacing of artificial intelligence, and then some traces of it coming into energy and transportation from semiconductor side, all these electronic vehicles and all these solar driven and green energy driven things are also coming in. They are once again trying to define the world. So if you see the world, I need not go into more details. If you want, you can read it from the Google. You can probably listen to some more learned people who might have talked about these. You'll probably see that because of each one of them, whether it is England becoming a power, or sometimes Spain becoming a power, or Portugal becoming a power, or the power going to Russia and US, and then later possibly maybe Japan and now China and various other countries here and there. It's all the shifting which is happening because of technology. And the shifts are physical, social, political, financial, relational, and functional maps of the world have changed because of the technology. And therefore, let's accept the fact if bigger things can change, then some smaller things or some common things can also change. If I give you the examples of common things, you'll probably see that world has become a global village primarily because of the mobile only, as you can possibly see. The world has shrink because of the mobile communication. The world is going to get the energy very, very cheap, and maybe like mobile are more or less free of cost. It became free of cost in India some time back. You can possibly say that the transportation can also become free of cost if the EVs come and this solar energy and non-conventional energy becomes big. But if you see the force of technology, I think banking and finance sector has completely changed. Today, you don't have to go to banks. Maybe those who are young probably don't know how difficult the banks were when we were young, that we had to be in queues for a long, long time. The banking has changed completely. I think the same thing is now going to change with medical and various other domains which are going to happen. And therefore, technology is one which is driving, and it is kind of creating unprecedented changes or spurring unprecedented changes in the higher education also, is the point I'm trying to make. And I'm going to share something with you through these slides. Just to tell you, because I belong to SRM, I would say that we did some experimentation of some of the technologies in education. You need not necessarily follow all that. I'm sure all NITs or IITs or institutions of higher learning, and some of you have already done. But we created some of these things on our own within our institution, that a lot of people can practice and train in a given environment. Let's say the first one is for the programming. The second one is also basically on the examinations and practice tools and maybe skilling and other things which are there. The third one was on the simulations and virtual learnings and other things which were there. We started using them over a period of time, and fortunately, during COVID time, we could experiment with them most extensively. And therefore, as of now, our dependence on many outside things are not there. Yes, people are coming, they're trying to sell us products and processes. Fine, though we may not have a tool like what we are using WebEx now, or maybe any other tool like Zoom, but doesn't matter. We can always develop, because a lot of people have understood the dynamics of that, and those can be done. And so this is a step towards technology uses. This is a step towards becoming, you can say, virtual. And for me, virtual is the new real, virtual is the new normal. Virtual is also new avatar of what we call the distance education. Virtual is also the new avatar of online, and vice versa. You can combine all of them. I have developed a fancy for a term called flexible education. And flexible comprises of all the three which I have said: online, virtual, and distance. I call it flexible because it goes from 25 to 70 years now. One can easily learn, obtain degrees, do diverse kind of things. You can do it at your own speed, in your own language, on your own time, at any place, in any mode. You can take it from DTH, you can take it from web, you can take it from internet, you can, whatever those modes, offline, online, any combinations are very much possible. And therefore, I call it flexible. And this flexible education also means that you will ultimately be start getting degrees which might be eventually be coming without any physical enrollment in any place, and that is a policy which has been pronounced by NEP. I'll discuss a little bit about that. And for example, RemoteX is a tool which we didn't develop, but we used to make sure that our students are able to get all the library resources which are electronically available. They can be accessed from a single, you can say, login from one single system. So these are some of the tools which are there. So as I was telling you, that there is a new system which has got evolved recently in the case of NEP, which will be a futuristic thing for a student, and that is the driver for the student centricity. Please pay some attention on this particular slide. They have named it as Academic Bank of Credits, ABC, and this is the first acronym. If you try to read the policy document and you read all the acronyms, the first acronym is ABC, Academic Bank of Credit. What it basically means is it will break down the barriers of conventional educational system, that you sit in front of me in the class, you come inside the class in time, you pay attention to what I'm saying at that time, and you understand everything at that time and respond to me all at that time. And all that cannot be done in the today's context because everyone wants more degree of freedom, higher degree of freedom. The degree of freedom may be a very good extreme case of degree of freedom. Maybe I may want to study electronics, but with electronics, I may still want to do the music because the two are connected. And I may try to do economics, or I may try to do statistics on the other side because that may fetch a job to me, whatever it may be. And therefore, these combinations may fall in an arts faculty, commerce faculty, and engineering faculty. No one is currently allowing those kind of things in the current dispensation of higher education in India. But this ABC scheme possibly will allow that. So if I take it anti-clockwise, let's say, number one, I would possibly say that any subject combinations, that means the conventional specializations will lose interdisciplinarity, multidisciplinarity, and transdisciplinarity will become very, very big, in my opinion. And you probably understand what I'm trying to say, because you know the example of one of the Nobel laureates, Venki, who was typically a guy from physics background, and later he started working in the biochemistry area later when he went to US and UK and other places, and then finally he gets the Nobel of chemistry, and so on and so forth. So you find that how people change, and what might be a fundamental subject might get transformed into something else. Interdisciplinarity is of the highest order, and national education policy has talked about that. The second, I already explained you, all these modes will merge. I will not be bothered about whether my student is in class. As long as he or she is learning, I am his teacher or he is my student, is the kind of relationship we have. And that is also, the relationship will change. The teacher will not remain a content deliverer, which has been a traditional thing for a long, long time. A teacher will be a facilitator, teacher will be a counselor, teacher will be a mentor. A teacher, in my opinion, will also be simultaneously a learner with the students, because the students can also be very fast, very adaptive, very intelligent, and together you can always learn. So teacher only controls the scene in a way that it goes in the right direction. Doesn't mean that teachers has to be best. And therefore, as a teacher, if you don't have some answers, don't feel bad about it. Don't feel shy about it. As a teacher, you can also learn, and next day you can go and tell the students the answer you are required to give. I think that is a change in the role. I'm saying continuous and lifelong learner enabler. As I've said, we go up to 65, 70. And now, once again, the new education policy has been multiple entry, multiple exit. Very famous word has been coined. Every top person talking about NEP is talking about ME, multiple entry, multiple exit. By the way, this word was coined by people like us in a committee last year when we were working for UGC for this scheme. And that's where this has typically been picked from, and the policy has also taken the right kind of a shape. So continuous learning, what you are studying today probably will have to unlearn tomorrow and then relearn something new, and so on and so forth. And therefore, after 5-10 years, possibly the entire game plan or your base level will be very, very different. And therefore, this continuous or lifelong learning is required. And imagine, today I can sit in a class when I'm from 15 to 25, because at that age, no one expects me to earn, and the society allows me to go and study full time in a classroom or institution. And my parents also support me. But beyond 25, when I'm on my own, I cannot take time out of 1 year or 2 years and once again go back to class after 5-10 years at age of 30, 35 to once again study. That doesn't happen. That cannot happen and should not happen. And therefore, I have to study remotely in a virtual mode, and therefore the technology becomes important. All this executive education, all these things are, I think, examples of that the education can be delivered at any time, any place, anywhere, kind of a thing. And that is why technology becomes important. Another thing, many of us, in fact, we know that figure that around 6 lakh students from India go to abroad typically every year in terms of studying outside India. whichever country they may go to is not important, but a lot of our exchequer money goes to them. Why? Because they probably feel that Indian education systems are not very updated, or the level is not very high, or maybe it's not very advanced. Now, what can happen is we may not be advanced, agreed in certain cases, but in certain fundamentals and certain things we may still be very good. So what a student can do is use the technology and do certain courses from outside if they like, without even going outside, and therefore they can do the multiplexing, they can do the combination of foreign and international or national institutions, and yet deliver what they want to deliver, yet gain what they want to gain in terms of education. I think that's the beauty they can possibly have. Also, another thing which is there is that convert credits into diplomas and degrees and certificates and PG diplomas. So for some reason, if there is an emergency in your family, you have to discontinue your studies, you will not lose the value of what you have done till that time. And if you come back, you can use that once again to go from that starting point. There'll be a new starting point. Right now, our education system is something like a fixed pipe, if you can understand. You enter here at 0th year, and then after 3 years or 4 years, you get a degree and you make an exit. If you do not make an exit, you are lost. All your 3 years are lost, nothing happens. Now this pipe is not going to be a fixed pipe, it's going to be a leaky pipe. So you can enter from anywhere, exit from anywhere, and with that, the control will be with you, and it will be a 360-degree. You can exit in any direction. You started with engineering, but you may move to commerce. You started with commerce, you may move to arts, and vice versa, and do many things. And therefore, this is a higher degree of flexibility. And that is how you can say that you can convert. So the new currency for education would be the credits. And with that, those credits earned, if you earn 150 or 160 credit required for an undergraduate degree or whatever that may be, you can go to an institution and say, hey, I'm ready, give me a degree of this particular nature. Now, if you've done enough specialization in what you want a degree, they will give you that specialization degree. But it may so happen that you have taken a lot of wide variety of course, as I said, music and psychology and electronics and statistics and something from medical and public health and whatever it may be, maybe something on geotechnical and all that. In that case, any institution will say, look, you do not depict any specialization. You do not have any specialization. In that case, this blue button, which I'm showing, Bachelor of Liberal Education, will be coming to your rescue. And that rescue is that it will be called as a Bachelor of Liberal Education. That means I have studied what I wanted to study in my life. It may so happen that I want to be an artist. I want to be doing my own business. I'm doing a study for quest of my knowledge. And with that quest of my knowledge, I will choose the subjects which I want to study rather than what teachers want to teach or what institution wants to offer. And therefore, there is a change in concept which is going to happen, my dear friends, in education, that it is no more uh, teachers teaching the students kind of a thing. It's the students trying to learn what they want to learn. Okay, so we will not be able to impose that this is the course, either take it or leave it. No, it won't be. Teacher, student will say, this is what I want to do, this is my time frame, and he or she will decide slow or fast, language or place. He comes to my class, and suppose I don't deliver a good class, it may so happen that he will move to another class or another institution if he so likes. So that's the dimension of what I call the academic bank of credit. I hope you have understood what it basically means. Now, this is a liberty which we use in our common life in everything else. For example, I want to eat food. I think every choice of eating food is typically lying with me. I decide what I want to eat, how much I want to eat, when I want to eat, and so on and so forth, and what type of food I want to eat. Same thing happens with my clothing that I try to do it. I think the same thing is going to come to the education. As we are becoming more technology savvy and advanced, I think we are giving personalization some more impact. So personalization of education is also going to come through technology in higher education domain. I can't say much on the school education because that needs to be much more differently controlled. But higher education is more about allowing them to dream big, allowing them to do new things, do multidisciplinarity, fly high, and so on. And therefore, the newer dimensions are kind of open dimensions as far as the new policy is concerned. How much of it can be converted into reality, we can't say, but we probably understand from this, person like me will understand from this, that this policy will help the two extremes very, very nicely. Those who are very advanced can go for a 4-year degree in 3 years once this scheme is implemented. And engineering can be done in 3 years. Imagine in India it is not allowed. Or maybe some other 5-year program can be done in 4 years. That will be wonderful. And same way, if I'm very slow mover, I'm not good at studies, I cannot cope up with 6 subjects and 4 laboratories and something else and all that because of family conditions or my own status. I think I can take 3 subjects or 4 subjects every semester and do my degree in 5 or 7 or 8 years, whatever I want. And that is so. If the two extreme cases are very nicely handled by this kind of a scheme, then every other aspect of the handling will be taken care by this. Once a technology or a system can handle the two extreme cases, then obviously it can handle the middle set also very, very easily. I think this is one thing which is something which is shaking the higher education right now, which is a talk of the town. And fortunately, I had a chance to work for UGC to develop this committee, and therefore I'm able to share all these things. It's not necessary that in final form, every such things will come in one go. Gradually and slowly, these things will get embedded as I'm going to show you. For example, I have not shown you an iota of examinations here. So I'm going to show you something of that nature also in times to come. So if I go further, taking some points from what I've already discussed, I'll probably say that the education is going to change very, very vastly. Future would be of good quality. Quality because I can today sitting here in Chennai or anywhere in Jaipur or Patna, I can very well study from a person who's teaching the course in Stanford or Harvard or Oxford. Technology is allowing me that. So good quality can be there. Affordability because the technology allows affordability. Accessibility is also from the technology. And diverse knowledge because access is easy. So diversity can be easily be done. Dissemination, assimilation, generation are the 3 aspects which we deal with in our life as a teacher. And I know most of you are teacher. So dissemination is delivering the knowledge, assimilation is accumulating, collecting, and then delivering it. But these 2 focuses are going to be less in times to come. Generation will be the new focus, the research basically, that we will have less time to teach or interact with the students or required to do that. We'll have more time to generate the new knowledge, and that is what I'm trying to refer to this. Typically, there will be many, many other changes which will be changing. I need not go into CBCS and fully, and ideal is interdisciplinary, interactive learning and all that. Flipped classrooms, you probably understand it very well. All this we are trying to do these days in the online mode through the virtual classrooms or whatever webinars is broadly a flipped mode only. Flipped mode in general will give the notes and details in advance. Sometimes you may not do it, but still you can call it as a flipped model. But ideally, if you can give it in advance and ask the students to come prepared, and then you try to discuss that in the class, that is the real flipped model. And then you should promote that, because with that, the learning becomes permanent, impactful. Case studies are there and the discussions happen, so it becomes deep rooted. So that is what we need to do. Obviously, it's going to make it a mixed mode of teaching, because as I said, something can go from satellite-based teaching or DTH-based teaching or web-based teaching or online or webinars and all that which are happening. So all these modes are there. Ultimately, you can say that it is going to be a blended mode of teaching learning. And in that teaching learning, if teaching learning was 50-50 earlier till pre-COVID times, the teaching learning now is becoming 30-70, my dear friends, in my opinion. Teaching is becoming less 30 and learning will become 70. And learning beyond your first degree or second degree will become more or less 100%, because rest of your life, you'll have to survive with learning it yourself. You cannot really do much of, take much of teaching yourself. And therefore, this scheme which I have just now described you, called ABC, is nothing but make your own degrees or tailorable degrees or choices degrees or something like that. You don't have to depend upon the ready-made stuff. And obviously with that, you can always do dual degrees, major and minor specialization. integrated programs and multiple programs. As long as you keep earning credits, people are not going to object to what you have done, but you need to make sure that the quality will be in your control and the effectiveness will be in your control, and the depth of knowledge will also be in your control in that particular case. And then today we require higher degree of multidisciplinary in all that I've explained you. That will happen through this particular scheme. That will be the future of the educational world. Now, if I talk about teaching learning very specifically, the classes we already discussed are going to be the blue block, as you can see, is flipped classroom. And then, of course, this is going to be a big thing. The second big thing in terms of teaching learning will be self-studies. The MOOCs are going to be very important. I'm sure you all know about MOOCs and are using it, and you have already been certified. And webinars are also being done in recent times. With MOOCs and webinars, however, I must warn you that we are into a mode called continuous evaluation. Both of them are not very amenable right now for the continuous evaluation. So you should work towards that. Whenever you think of a MOOC or a webinar for your students, possibly think of how to go about what we call the continuous evaluation, because that evaluation is very important. Once you do that, you will be very happy. For example, our NPTEL, many of you must have been beneficiary of NPTEL. Mangal Sundarji has already addressed you, who has kind of coined or pushed NPTEL to its current position. But NPTEL does only end-term examination. And with that, the continuous evaluation gets missing. So if you can develop something more, I think the self-study will become very easy. People can assess their interest, assess their performance, and correct it and go back and drop it or take something more. If you find that you find it very easy in that assessment, you'll go to an advanced level course of that. Otherwise, you'll drop it and like that. Similarly, the learning through projects and developments are very important. I need not explain projects and all those are there. But one of the biggest attribute a graduating student would require in coming life, or the fresh graduate will require, is problem solving ability. And that can happen only through projects and development. If possible, start inculcating those right from the word go, right from the first year, right from the entry level. Do it outside the curriculum, do it inside the curriculum, I'm not bothered. But please try to develop that. And I think that will be the most or the best way of teaching learning, most effective way of teaching learning if you want to do something. Similarly, you are trying to do the industrial visits and readiness and internships. Those are important. We have done, but there's a lot of tokenism in India right now. Maybe industries are not ready. Maybe we are not serious. Maybe students will do a shortcut there. Everything may be wrong, but it's time that we correct everything, because it's from there we get the real problems. From there we get the real learnings. From there we get connected to the society and bring the solutions. And from there this thing becomes important in terms of societal contribution. I think the same thing can be said about hackathons. The technology, applications, multidisciplinarity, all that gets embedded in that. Many of you must already be guiding your students for hackathons. Country has become famous. India has become famous for hackathons. A recent hackathon happened just last 1 week. The software hackathon, which was online based, a highly successful one, I'm told. Large number of entries which were there, and many good things which come out of that. And obviously, the last building block, in my opinion, for teaching learning avenues will be the laboratories. And I need not say much except for virtual laboratories. You know that we never believed that one can be outside the lab to do the lab. The beauty of virtual lab is something very big. And fortunately, once again, the new education policy has given impetus to that. There is a half a page or chapter on this particular virtual lab itself. Virtual lab means virtual education is fully acceptable to the new education policy. This virtual lab, actually what it means is most of the ordinary institutions cannot afford high-end equipment. But if I'm a student of that particular institution, what wrong I have done that I should not be exposed to that high-end equipment? So suppose something is lying in MNIT Jaipur and MNIT Patna, and I'm there in some other institution. MNIT Patna and MNIT Jaipur laboratories, virtual laboratories, can be accessed by me from any institution. And I can do all the costly equipments, touch base with them. They are all remote controlled. They are all interfaceable through various electronic interfaces. You can always perform the standard experiments with them. And it's not a simulation, by the way. You are controlling the knobs or the applied voltages or currents or pressures or temperatures or whatever it may be. You can put the standard devices under test and perform your experiments as you generally do. But if you're doing for research, maybe you can take help of someone to put your samples in that particular institution. You can ship it and courier it and they will put it, and then you can do it. So it saves the cost, it saves the time, it saves the money. And it also makes sure that when you are doing it electronically, you will not be able to damage the equipment because the electronically you can build in all the safety measures. Otherwise, in physical sense, I can probably apply a very high voltage current by changing the knobs here and there. I may damage a device or circuit or whatever it may be. But in an electronic sense, through remote control or virtual control, whatever it may be, you'll probably find that this is very, very safe. And you cannot perform a virtual experiment without preparation. Many of us have that tendency. I was also a student, and maybe many of us went to our laboratories without much of preparation. It won't be the case. If it is the case, the system will not pass you to go to the experimental stage. System will check you whether you are prepared, you know the objective, you know the nature of equipment you want to block in, and various other things which are there. So there are so many things which are there with this teaching learning avenues that you can possibly see. So you are seeing that though you know most of the things as building blocks broadly, but in everything there is a big change. In classes, it's flipped. In self-studies, it's MOOCs and webinars. In projects, it's problem solving. In industrial visits, it's basically the real life problems. In hackathons, competing against the globe and doing the technology applications in imaginative ways. And laboratories is, of course, virtual labs. So this is the change in the teaching learning avenue. And if I come to the good practices for teaching learning, I already said most of the things possibly I would say. I will simply say that keep track of student centricity. And also, I'll also suggest to you that make sure that you allow students to vary their pace of learning. You make sure that you take the feedback regularly. I think clickers can be there, the questions can be there, Google Forms can be shot to them through these kind of surveys after every class. So rather than taking a feedback every semester end, you probably can take it every weekend or maybe every class end also. So if I take it at the end of every class, next day when I come to the class, I'm sure what was done right by me today and what was not so right, I think I can improve upon that. That is a feature which can possibly happen. And therefore, there is a good value of using technology for active feedback. And those who are from electronics background probably know that what is the value of feedback. It can stabilize you, it can amplify you, it can correct you, various other things can happen. And I'll come to the examination strategies. I'll not touch upon that. Outcome measurements can also happen very easily through the technology. And obviously, one example which I want to give you here, my dear friends, is use of new technology. AI, big data, gaming, AR, VR, all those things are probably the words which you hear in the current generational nomenclature. I was in the Microsoft's office last year in the US, where some of us as academicians were invited. And to my amazement, I found there was a young professor, young assistant professor from Australia was invited, was from New South Wales University. He probably was not more than 30 years in any case. And he was making a presentation on behalf of Microsoft. And he showcased us use of all these kind of technologies to convince us that he is taking a class of around 500 to 600 students, and each of his student was getting personalized attention from that young teacher. You can imagine that in a class of 60 we find it difficult, class of 100 we find it impossible to give personalized attention today, but technology allows you that. Technology tells me based on certain aspects, based on certain you can say proctoring and various other things, whether I'm attentive, whether I have learned, what are my facial expressions, how soon I'm able to answer, which questions I'm answering or not answering. Are my questions and answers copied, or they are kind of my original language and answer? Am I trying to improve or not? All those things can be understood by applying technology to whatever I'm doing. And based on that, probably my learning curve can be assessed. And based on that, I can become a slow learner, I can become a fast learner, or I'll at least have the reality check of what I am. And therefore, that is what is required. most of the students are very intelligent, but they are under wrong impression that they know everything or they can cope up with anything anytime, and that's where they go wrong. So technology will always keep bothering you with saying that, no, sorry, you are not on the right track, and therefore technology will keep correcting you. So make sure that use technology to the extent you can, and enrich your teaching learning. I'm not saying that remove the classrooms. I am also in favor of chalk and talk, nothing to beat it. I'm also in favor of the physical connect and the eye to eye connect. That also conveys a lot of things. I'm not against all that, but in certain cases, we should not become rigid, and therefore the technology should be used. That is my advice in terms of good practice for teaching learning. Now I come to these, one thing I have done, classroom teaching learning and the laboratory teaching learning. I come to the examination. These are the three core parts of our activities as teachers. And here, if you see, probably that there are certain special things which are there. There was a mention while I was introduced as a member of the Kakotkar committee. I think one of the ideas came from there only, which I have listed here. So number one, online examination will be anytime, anywhere, and that is what I do when with my food, with my travel, with my clothing, and I think that should be ready, should be there with my studies also. That if I've prepared a subject rather early, I should be allowed to appear early in the examination and clear that credit and move on to something new. And therefore, the online will give me anytime, anywhere examination. Open book is the life. Rest of your life beyond 25 years, once you have graduated and you are working, none of your boss will give you a closed book examination. They will say, Sandeep, this is the question, this is the problem, this is the challenge, find out the best answer in next 1 week or 5 days, 10 days, 1 month, whatever it may be. And they don't bother whether you are referring to your friends or any other knowledge base or any other books or designs and journals and consultations here and there. As long as your answer is good, they are happy. And that is what is an open book approach. So we should not be mugging things and reproducing those and all that. And all real life situations would have open book examination system. And therefore, our duty in higher education is that our students are now going to transiting from higher education to the general life or the professional life. And this transition should be smooth, and the transition requires that the real life situations are dealt differently and not like our examinations. And therefore, the open book examination should be promoted. The task will be a little hard on teachers to conduct the open book examination. The examination patterns will have to be different, defined, draw, derive, describe will all have to disappear, I would say. There'll be a new methodology which one will have to use. And it's a difficult task. It's not easy for students either, neither for the teachers also. Examination cafe is one suggestion I have from the COVID times, that if my student is sitting in north part, maybe in Calcutta or maybe in Delhi or Bombay, wherever, but he can still appear in examination which I'm conducting in Chennai and vice versa. So third-party cafes, like we have internet cafes which are there, we can have examination cafes, we can have teaching learning cafes also. My student for some reason has got stuck in J&K. He can go to a cafe, access the bandwidth, access the device, and still look at all the teaching learning which I'm trying to do online. He doesn't have to come to my place in Chennai and do it. And therefore, examination cafes can be, and they'll be sanitized. They'll be all taken care. All the proctoring will happen, no cheating, nothing will be there. And we'll make sure that the examination papers are delivered in time, everything is done online. So this will be a new concept that people can appear in examination without physically being in your campus. Similarly, and by the way, this examination cafe concept is there for all GMAT, GRE, TOEFL, and various other things which you probably know. World over, it's happening for SET examinations also, and now we are trying to do it for JEE, etc. also. Then the best thing about the examination, which I like, is on-demand examination. When ready and when needed, I should be able to give it. I've already said about that. This is something interesting which we did in the Kakotkar committee. A topper remains to be a topper, and he wants to stretch his margin by a big margin. And as a result, a bottomer remains a bottomer, and he gets discouraged and doesn't improve his value. So if you make the group of some people by slotting the class into 3-4 categories of topper, and then the next set of top 10 students, next set of top and all, and one student from each will make a group, then it will, and if we do the marking, that 30% marks will be given by the group evaluation and 70% by the individual evaluation, then the topper will try to teach the bottom person also very well, so that the group evaluation is better. And as a result, you'll find that the overall evaluation will improve. As a result, you will find that there is a richness and average performance also improve, and so on and so forth. And finally, this continuous evaluation, I already said. So these are the changes which are coming in the examination domain. And I come to my final two slides, my dear friends. And with that, I'll close. And after that, we'll probably have 10 minutes, or maybe 10 minutes, 10 minutes for Q&A. What are the driving dozens for the future of education, or which are the technologies which are going to creep in? I have, you can say, stolen this word from Dirty Dozens. This is a very famous word. You probably know the context. I need not explain, but I will call it driving dozens, because the technologies which I found would be very, very important in times to come ended up being 12 in nature, and therefore I found this word to be an appropriate word, driving dozens. Driving dozens, the first 6 technologies which I have named here are, as you can probably see, and in my opinion, the first 6 are typically happening already in certain way. Okay, not in a big way, not fully introduced, but in certain way it is happening. For example, 3D printing. Now, our first year workshops should be now replaced by 3D printing. Anything or everything, be it metallic or be it the plastic, or be it designing something, cutting or fitting something, possibly can be done by these kind of tools which are there. Yes, some basic workshop can always remain, but 3D printing should be introduced in a very, very big way, so that you can do the modeling, visualization, creation, recreation, and all that. And when I mean 3D printing, I also mean what you call tinkering labs, and all that is automatically getting included in that. And by the way, you know that these are all going into the school level also. Today, to some extent, all those adult tinkering labs which countries talking about are embedded with 3D printing machines and other things which are there. The other thing which will come, the cloud technologies. 5G will of course come. Right now we are in 4G only, but you can possibly say that cloud technologies will be very important, and it has become more important during what we call COVID times. Everything and is accessible at a touch of a button from anywhere, and everything is a single source. You don't have to have multiple storages. You don't have to carry them, worry about the versions and compatibility, and worry about the scalability. Today I have created something, and tomorrow I have 100 more students coming in, and I find I cannot scale. I think cloud gives you the scalability, cloud gives you the reliability and all that. So this is also happening to some extent. Social networking was the poorest in our education system, in my opinion, and particularly in engineering education. We always thought we can survive with what we know about technology and science, but we never bothered about the society at large. I think social networking is important. All your innovation, all your marketing, all your new products will go to society only, and unless you know what they need, nothing will happen. And for that, you will need a lot of people, let's say from legal domain, let's say from management domain, for marketing and finance, or maybe chartered accountancy. And therefore, social networking will allow you team and collective learning, collective working. And therefore, if you go into the entrepreneurship, etc., in future, make sure that you have very strong social networking, and you have a team of different abilities to support you or help you with whatever you want to do in your life as an entrepreneur. And that's how you'll probably find this technology or this approach will be handy. Biometric and eye tracking, I think this is already being experimented as far as the proctored examinations are concerned. We're still fighting in terms of whether proctored is good or not. But there is no doubt that it is going to be good, because no examination system is still perfect. Even the current physical invigilation is not perfect. Nothing is going to be perfect, but this gives you the liberty. You want to come physical and appear in a classroom for examination, fine. But if you don't want to do that and you want to do it at the comfort of your home, I think biometric and eye tracking kind of a thing, which will be very, very useful. Most of the tools which are coming for examinations right now are making use of these kind of things which are there. The next big thing, in my opinion, which will be helping all people with different abilities and all that, is speech impaired or hearing impaired or various stammering and other things which might be there. I think people who have lost hand and cannot write, and there are a variety of difficulties which one can face in life. It's not in our control. And therefore, even this text to speech and speech to text can be very nice. You can take spoken examinations. I'll go in the examination, I'll be sitting in a enclosed compartment where I can speak, and my answers will be translated by the computer into form of a written form, which can be then evaluated by the teacher. And who knows, teacher can evaluate the spoken examination as a spoken itself if he or she likes. But in that case, writing equations, drawing diagrams or graphs may be a little difficult. Even that can be combined. And therefore, this text to speech and vice versa will be very, very handy. Many other things have already been done, but this is not currently prevailing. And therefore, this will be something very nice. And of course, the smart classrooms, you probably know, is already happening. So as I said, some of these are already happening. Some is yet to come. I think Google's and others have made big in terms of text to speech and vice versa. We make use of the elements like Alexas and various other things which are coming from Amazon, Google, and Microsoft, which are there, that we learn. We find answers, we find cricket scores, we listen to music by simply saying sing this song or put this song or play this song like that. So it's all nothing but text to speech. And the last slide, friends, I'm coming to is about the remaining half of dirty dozens or driving dozens, as I was calling them. Number one is the artificial intelligence. I already given you the example that Australian young lecturer was making use of artificial intelligence in a very, very big way to make sure that he is able to give the personalized attention. You know that artificial intelligence is getting space everywhere in everything, be it your food, be it your clothing, be it your travel, be it your other demands which are there. It can gauge anything, it can tell you anything, it can correct anything. Therefore, that is something which is going to be big in the teaching learning also. Game-based learning, we were averse to game-based. We never liked games. We never liked devices inside the class. Now the devices will have to be there because we already said online. Now, once the devices are there, the game-based learning is the most effective. You can play with certain parameters and you can run the business models and see how your business is doing and all that. And various playstations and gaming apps and other things, they are very captive learning, they are very immersive learning, they are very fast learning. Yes, there is a negative side that they are very addictive also sometimes. There are certain negative things can come, but that's true with every part of the technology. But game-based learning can be very, very effective, which is there. Then the flexible displays and LCD desks. These are something very, very nice. You know, don't have to need the pen and paper. You can move without big boxes and bags which are there. You don't have to worry about which books you have kept where and all that. You can all capture on one flexible display. You can fold it, roll it, and take it as a sheet. And once again, open it, plug and play, and everything is stored, transferred through cloud and all that, whatever communication devices it will have. And therefore, the whole thing will be amalgamated in one. Like digital is unifying everything in your life, be it your photographs, voice, audio, movie, whatever. Same way, the flexible displays will cover all your requirements in terms of physical things as far as teaching, learning, or education is concerned. It's going to be a very big thing, in my opinion, once it comes. And the other big thing is obviously augmented reality and virtual reality. You know about it, how immersive it can be, and a lot of things at a higher end in terms of, let's say, aircraft flying. If you want to do simulators are there. In the medical domain, dummies and mannequins are there to teach you everything which you want to learn, and the dummies can react like a real person in terms of any medical simulation kind of a thing. So all top things are happening. But imagine even subjects like history. Pardon me for saying that. I thought history is a little old generally, typically, and cannot be very, very inquisitive or cannot be very, very maybe technologically savvy, maybe inquisitive, but not technologically savvy. But today, you can recreate using the virtual reality or augmented reality the old systems, the darbars of any Akbar or Maharana Pratap, or for that matter, anyone, and see what is happening inside that, how they are behaving, what are the protocols, how they communicate, how the decisions were made. Those things can be created very easily. So even a subject like history can be taught using the technology called AR, VR, etc., which are there. The next, of course, is the wearable devices. As you can see, the computers will be all distributed over all our body. In fact, body will be an electronic body. Our name also will be also identified by some 128-bit code or number as soon as we are born. Such things are going to come with IPv6 and whatever other things which are there. So wearable devices, you can see the screen on your palm, and you can possibly have the the cameras, etc., on your goggles or the glasses which are there. Various other things can be integrated here and there. The keyboards may not be required because the speech to text will be there. However, if you still require a keyboard, even that can be projected. Various things can happen in your this thing. Body can act as an antenna, so it can transmit, receive. Powers required would be much lesser, so it will not going to affect the body, and still you can have the communication. All that will be there. The final big thing from my side would be the holographic presence. Today you are seeing my presence as a presence that I'm addressing you. I'm online with you. You are knowing who Sandeep Sancheti is, and his face is known to you now, possibly. But tomorrow, you still feel that that physical feeling is not there, or we are not. Then you'll find out that our 3D presence can also be ensured by holographic presence. Once I'm in a classroom, though I may not be in the classroom, an image will be created, 3D image of mine will be created in the classroom. I may be seeing and doing everything remotely, but I'll be looking like as if I'm present in the class as a teacher, and I can take my classes. So all those traffic chaos which happens, all those travel which is unwanted travel sometimes we require for traveling for odd meetings here and there, or maybe if I get up late today and I'm still in my let's say my hostel room, and I'm unable to go in time to class. I don't have to disturb the class. From my hostel room itself, I can make my presence, and therefore this holographic presence will also come in a big way, and that will again change the teaching learning in a certain way. So these are some of the changes, my dear friends. I have used them in name of ICT because these are all ICT driven. None of them are without ICT. Today, you take internet and computer outside the framework of subject which I'm talking, all the answers will possibly become zero. And we know that of the world's top 5 inventions ever, worlds or the universe, historically, they have been internet and computer only. And these two have been rated top because of the potential it delivers and the kind of things it changes. So you take that technology out called computers. Of course, you can say computer dependent on electronics and electronics dependent on the materials called battery to drive it, and also the devices, semiconductor devices. So ultimately materials, then ultimately metallurgical engineering, or maybe fabricating them is mechanical engineering, and getting the materials is mining engineering. All engineerings are involved, all are interconnected. A lot of new things which are happening is because of this interconnection, but the end result is it is called technology, and this technology is changing the service space. Service, as a teacher, we do the service. We are service providers in that broad sense, and therefore our service modes are changing, our service quality is changing, our service framework is changing. This is what I wanted to say to you. And with this last slide, I'll try to conclude that are we ICT ready? If I go by my last slide, last six things which I have shown you in last slides are not yet happening, at least in Indian context. So I will say we are not yet ready, but we are trying to move fast. Okay, so are we evolving? Yes, we are evolving. We are moving faster, and hopefully Indian mind is a very fertile mind. We are technologically savvy. Now the affordability is also coming, and therefore we'll probably do a good catch-up action, which is there. Right now, our own inertia, our limitations were there in terms of costing, money, etc. Now we'll not spend money on the physical infrastructure or brick or mortar or 200-acre campus or 500-acre campus and 10-storied building and all AC and all that will probably vanish. And we'll spend more on this technology called the ICT. And that's how probably will be ICT ready. But will it be the enabler of the future teaching learning? I would possibly say in every sense. Teaching learning is already started happening, but virtual universities will start coming up now. VU in this answer is virtual universities. I don't have to own a piece of land. I don't have to sit at one place. My all experts will be distributed. My all labs will be distributed. For example, recently in month of February, I visited the UK Open University. They have a huge virtual laboratory with all the batteries of physical experimentation sitting with electronic connections. And you can go anywhere in the world and run the experimentations with them. So virtual university could be that I'm sitting here, but I'm running the university in Australia or America also. So we'll become a virtual university. We did try this concept 10 years back. We didn't succeed because at that time technology was not ripe. But today technology, ICT has come to the our rescue and has become, at least it's right now, maybe affordability is a little bit of question, and therefore VU concept will come. Needs and application will define the future course. I'm not able to project what will be the future course, because what will be my need? The need may so happen that one doesn't require a degree at all. One may simply require a skill, so you may have to change your modus operandi. So how will we redefine the future? It's a bit difficult to tell, but still for foreseeable time, the current mode of education, delivering basics, delivering principles, making them do variety of things will remain, and therefore we'll tend to use the ICT in a very, very big way. And finally, would we ever reach that goal of being called ICT ready or fully ICT ready? I doubt if it will ever happen, because technology will keep evolving, and based on that, the answers will keep evolving, that the various other things will keep evolving. Imagine that all the libraries shifted into a small module which is available to you on a cloud or in a physical device. The libraries will cease to exist, and therefore you'll find that the goalpost will keep shifting, the goals will keep shifting, the technology will keep shifting, and therefore we will keep meeting on these forums to again dwell upon and discuss what are the new things, what are the new challenges. And this is my take on ICT and ICT's use in education. I hope you have found it useful. With that, I'd like to close my address part. Thank you so much. And I'm available to Q&A to all of you. Please raise your points if you so like to raise some points with me, or if you have some questions. Thank you so much. I'll pass it on to Bharat ji. I'll pass it on to Vineet ji or Ashish or Dr. Joshi or anyone.
Bharat, yeah.
Please.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir, for this really informative talk about the NEP and better education and what is actually needed in the teaching, in terms of as teacher as well as in terms of as a student. We want the freedom, like all of what you have raised the points, that actually we want to make our teaching anytime, anywhere, for anyone. That's the goal. It's really very informative session, and we are really thankful to you, sir, for your this time, valuable time, and making us understand about the ICT and how it can be useful for our teaching in the future as well as in the present scenario. Thank you so much. I just request Amit sir, can you raise some queries from the participant side?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Please.
Sir, one question from Charul Jain. Sir, there are several students who want to utilize. There are several students who want to utilize long summer vacation to learn and study. So, would some courses be available round the year to do that?
Yeah, see, it depends upon what type of courses you're talking of. Once when we say, that open courseware, the terminology started from Harvard some time back, maybe 20 years back, and now then took shape of NPTEL, and then ultimately the MOOC, and in India now it's called SWAYAM. So with all that, you can say the purpose of this is during summer or during regular coursework, during an added time in your normal routine, anytime you can do it. There is no foundation on that. Only thing is, when you want certification out of that, there would be a certain timings when the examinations will be conducted, and based on that, you will be given the certification. But the real thing in today's life is learning. You want to learn. Certification can be by my deeds itself, that I'm claiming that I can design this circuit, I can fabricate this, and I can deliver the performance. And no one would be bothered about my certificate. They will simply see I'm doing that, I'm designing, I'm taking components, I'm assembling them, soldering them, putting them together, I'm testing them. Then they'll possibly know that I know everything which I need to know. And therefore, yes, not teaching, in this case, learning can happen anytime. Summer would be the best time. Summer break is given primarily for everyone to refresh. Even a teacher has to refresh. A teacher has to develop a new subject, new contents, new way to deliver, new examples, new case studies. All that will happen once teacher will also take a MOOC. So if a teacher can take a MOOC, why not a student can take a MOOC? Because the student has to be smarter than the teacher, in my opinion, in the current generation. So yes, it is 24 into 7 into 365, whatever that terminology you want to use, it's there. And the same subject can be done through 4 different modes at 4 different places simultaneously. And you may eventually like one of them and you go with them fully, and then finally you get your certification. So like that. So answer is a very, very big yes, Mr. Jain.
Okay. Thank you, sir. The Piyush has another question that, sir, it seems that blended learning is now a short-term option. Sir, what about the long-term solution?
Long-term solution is go as you please, as you do in your life. I've already given you the examples. Which mobile you want to buy, you decide it. Which food you want to eat, you decide it. Which cloth you want to wear, you decide it. And the same would be the question. The student will decide from which teacher I want to learn this subject, at what time, in which institution, in what language. Same would be the case with the teachers also, that they can also draw certain boundaries of freedom, and based on that it will be delivered. So it will be personalization, a terminology which I used while I was explaining some slides to you. It will be a high level of personalization. By the way, we all feel currently we were working very hard earlier, long hours, then it became 6 days a week, then 5.5 days a week, it became 5 days a week. Now people are talking of 4 days a week. So if technology is going in right direction, comfort levels will become more, we'll have more time to enjoy and celebrate and personalize things. And therefore, blending is not a short-term thing. Blending is as per your choice. If I like to be having a feel of my teacher and being with my teacher, I'm very happy. There are certain people who can do many things simultaneously, and they would like to do many things together, and therefore they don't want to be in class. While he's trying to listen to a teacher, he wants to play a game. Even that is allowed, or wants to do his breakfast and eat apple. I think that is allowed if he's in his room, but not necessarily in the class. And therefore, the blending has happened everywhere. I do not know which Piyush is from which background. If he is from electronics background, I will say the blending of all electronics communication system is existing today. All sorts of internet is supported through optical fiber or the Wi-Fi's or satellite communication or copper cable or maybe any other mode of you can say communication. So everything has a place for itself is what I said in the beginning, and therefore blending also gives you a place for everything in your education space.
Thank you, sir. Sir, one of the participants, Mridula, he probably she has some different perspective for online teaching. So she says that the problem with the emphasis on online platform teaching seems to be good, but is that the parent do not realize why they should pay fees now?
No, let me give this answer simply. Maybe my article will be published in a day or two. It's already in the cycle on that. Are we talking in long term or are we talking in short term? If you are talking this answer in short term, the fee is charged as per the cost incurred for delivering the education. The cost incurred currently was for brick and mortar buildings. The teachers numbers 1:15. A lot of physical material called books, which have to be multiplied in 100 numbers, various other things which are there. All those canteens and messes and the hostels, transportation, security, gardening, water, everything was required. Okay. Now, some of these may not be required in the future. Obviously, you will not pay the hostel fee, food fee, and all that. So cost will come down. But imagine the teaching part. All those things remain even today, right now. I have to have the same set of teachers. I have to have same building. I have to have the same maintenance cost. I have to have the same infrastructure. On top of that, because of COVID, I'm now invested in, for example, I give you a name called Remotex. Right in the first 10 days of our COVID striking before March ended, we bought 10,000 licenses of that Remotex so that our library can go to our students in their home. There is a cost to it. All those kind of servers, all those kind of bandwidths, all those kind of devices, all those kind of studios, all those kind of internet connectivity and good quality bandwidth to all my teachers from their home, etc., has to be given. So there is always an added cost to that. On top of that, lots of other tools and licenses also come into picture. Trainings also comes to picture. So in the current context, the cost has gone up. The fixed cost is still there as it was. The new cost has come up. So there is a, if you have seen the characteristics of any device, typically transistor, you probably see that it will stabilize after some transient which is there. So right now we are in the transient state and it's not stabilized. But in long run, after 2-3 years, you will possibly find that technology will cut the cost. Technology will reduce the cost when it becomes all prevailing. That time it will reduce. The examples are very much there. I already given you the example. Mobile has cut down the cost of communication. Solar has cut down the cost of energy. Electronic vehicles will cut down the cost of transportation. And therefore, once again, the technology will cut down the cost of teaching, learning also. See, if you have to learn from a Stanford teacher today, you will have to go to US. He will not come here to teach you for sure. Imagine the cost you will incur. But with technology, you can sit in your home and that same teacher can teach you. That is the power of technology. So ultimately, technology will cut down the cost. But in short run, in this phase, if you're worried too much about the cost, I would say that adopt the online in a big way, your cost will automatically come down. You don't have to travel every day. You don't have to dress with new dresses every day. You don't have to buy food in the commercial establishments. You don't have to live in the hostel. You don't have many other challenges which you face when you travel. All those things will be reduced and therefore your effective cost will be reduced. And on top of that, you are saving the travel time, which may be in a big city, maybe 1 hour either way or 2 days. And therefore, that time is also money. So you're once again saving and you can use that time productively, develop your hobby, sport, or do something commercially or work somewhere where you can earn something. There are many answers. Yes, in long run, technology will satisfy your requirement of reducing the cost. But in the current context of short run, it is not possible. That's the answer I have.
Okay, thank you, sir. So last question for this session, probably from my end, sir. So Sai Kishore has asked that, sir, that probably you have also said that, and in our new education policy also, there is a provision for a student to enter and exit from a program from a various discipline. Now, will this not also make students end up going nowhere or becoming jack of all trades and master of none? So if we give a choice to a student, then probably he would try to do so many things. So probably that is the concern.
Very good.
Yes,
Very good question. I must answer that. There are many practical examples. I generally tell my students answers in form of common things which happens in our life. I think we need to guide them in a certain way. Jack of all or master of none or master of one. I think this scene is also changing. We need to be master of one, but we need to know a lot of other things in today's context. Technology for one, whether I'm a chartered accountant or I'm an artist or whether I'm in a hotel management scene, I need to know technology, otherwise I'll not survive. And therefore, I need to be not a master of technology, but I need to know that. So that philosophy is changing. I say that, and I very popularly say that earlier we used to say, "Kheloge, kudoge, banoge kharab, padhoge, likhoge, banoge nawab." I think that has changed completely. Today, if you can play well, you can make your life right at the age of 16 to 20 and earn a lot of name and fame. Many concepts are changing. The same way, the concept of doing one subject in deeper and other jack of all. I think jack of all is today required in certain way. So make sure that you possibly do that. Now, we are not necessarily saying that everyone has to choose everything. I will still give you a fixed menu, my dear. I don't know the name of the person who asked that question.
Sai Kishore, sir.
Sai Kishore, I'll still give you a fixed menu called standard classroom operating procedure, and you become whatever you want to become from that. But if you are a very smart guy, you are fast learner, you want to save time, you want to save money, you have different aspirations simultaneously with your studies, you will take the new mode which I have suggested. You are a very poor student, then again you will probably take this mode so that you can be supported. So it's something like that, going to a restaurant, and whether you would like to order from a la carte or whether you would like to go for a thali meal, I think the choice is yours. So we are giving you a choice. We are not forcing that what you take. It's based on the students, and that is why the word is student-centric. I'm sure to begin with, 90% of the students go through standard route. and 10% will only take the new route. But slowly, gradually over a period of time, the ratios will change, and many would like to experiment with their lives or the way they want to learn and be taught. And therefore, this flexibility is being given. So you are neither put in jail or not being frozen into certain specific idea. The freedom will be with you. Those who are matured students will enjoy the freedom. Those who cannot will still go through the standard procedure. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. I think probably now the time is not there. Otherwise, there are so many questions, but probably they did that maybe.
Do write to me those questions if you so wish. And if I can answer, Amitji, those questions, or Bharatji, anyone who wants to share it with me, I'll be happy to give common answers. If you can pool them into 5-10 standard questions, I'll be very happy. Or I can record my answers and give it if someone is interested to play it later. Technology is a beautiful thing to help you with everything. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for that. We have many questions still remaining. I think your talk has incited many thoughts in the participants. We'll definitely pose those questions to you, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Vineet. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the participants. I couldn't see you because of my presentation on my screen, but I wish you good luck, and hopefully we'll have a chance to meet each one of you sometime. My best wishes. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.
Amit sir?
Yes, sir.
I think we can request to
I think Saurabh is there now from that open source from IIT Bombay team.
Yes.
I think there are many presenter who will show the open source tool one by one.
They have already mentioned
Yes, sir.
some.
Professor Kanan is there.
Okay.
Professor Kanan has joined actually.
Okay.
Professor Kanan, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, I'm not able to see him. Yes, sir. Sir is there. Yes, Kanan.
Very good afternoon, sir.
Yeah, it may be he works in GIS area.
Okay.
These people are also in GIS area, right? This CSRE, I don't know what area. Yeah, it didn't occur to me earlier. Otherwise, I would have. Of course, this happened. I mean, I thought you were more confident of getting it, so that's why I didn't bother. It didn't also occur to me. Otherwise, I would have told you. So you may want to talk to. You can write me a mail. I'll introduce you to him. Then you can go. You can talk to him sometime. Okay.
And sir, good afternoon. Kanan sir. So probably I think next is we have a open source tool that IIT Bombay team would show us one by one. So if I'm not wrong, Kanan sir.
Amit sir.
Yes, sir.
I think Usha ma'am has share the schedule of to us.
Yes. I have already make a Saurabh as a presenter. I think first one is a Saurabh who will talk about the eSIM software. So Saurabh, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes. Now you are the presenter, so you can.
I'm actually not able to connect through my laptop, so I would request you to give the presentation rights to Mr. Yash Vora.
Yes. Okay.
He has joined. Yes, Yes has joined. And in the meantime, Amitji, I will just let the participant know that today in this online education tool, on open online education tools, we are going to describe about lots of softwares, around 9 or 10. The first one is eSIM, then Arduino, then eSIM and Arduino on cloud, Python, R, OpenFOAM, WSIM, Focal, OSDEG, and the QGIS. So there are lots of softwares that these are total open source. So rest of the things will be explained by the team members of the Professor Kannan from IT Bombay. Over to you. Saurabh?
Hello, I'm Usha here. Just
Yes.
yeah, good afternoon all. Welcome to the session. The FOSSI team will be presenting now. So we are actually going to present around 9 software to you. So you can take a photograph of this slide which is being displayed here so that you can know the time slot, and we have already given in the slide that which is the field most relevant to this particular software. So whoever is more interested, please don't miss their particular session. So for your convenience, we have given this information to you, so you can take a photograph and be sure that you don't miss your session. Yeah, now the first presentation will be done by Saurabh.
Yeah. Anyhow, all the participants are here. We are not
Yeah.
going to miss any session to learn the open sources.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, sir.
So I
over
just
to
want to
Saurabh.
point out there will be a small delay because we are starting late. So you have to account for that when you
Sure, sir.
note down the time. That's all. Good afternoon.
So, sorry to interrupt. So, I'm from the FOSSI team at IIT Bombay. What we primarily do is we are promoting free and open source open source softwares for higher education. Out of that, what you see right now is eSIM. eSIM is a open source EDA tool, electronic design automation tool, which is used for circuit design, simulation, and PCB design. Next slide, please. So how it is built? So eSIM is released under GPL3 license. No, previous slide, please. So eSIM is released under GPL3 license. It is a combination of 3 other open source tools named as. Yes, can you please go back to the second slide? Second. It is a combination of KiCad.
So
I
suggest you don't change the slide until he tells you to change. Okay.
Yes. So I will just show. I will just explain what the capabilities of eSIM are. So first capability is you can create a circuit schematic out of it. So you can use. You have vast number of components available to you. So from your basic semiconductor devices to various ICs to various connectors that are used in circuits, you can create a good schematic and you can export it in a PostScript format so that you can, if you wish to use it in a publication, if you want to publish a paper and you want to draw a nice circuit, so that is possible through eSIM. Secondly, it offers a huge spectrum to for simulation capabilities. So there are primarily 4 types of analysis which are supported in eSIM: a transient analysis, AC, that is frequency sweep. You have DC analysis and operating point analysis. So apart from this, so these are the various features which are there in commercial tools also. But that's what is common between the commercial tools and eSIM. So you will not miss out on any features as such if you move to eSIM. Then we offer 2 unique features, one of which is a sub-circuit builder and another is device modeling, or what we call the model editor. So in the sub-circuits, what we have is a complex block. So say, for example, if you want to use an op-amp in a circuit schematic, if you want to simulate that part, so how do you build it? If you go by transistor logic, it will take you a lot of time and it is a lot complex and time consuming process. So instead what we do is we use sub-circuit blocks. So this circuit acts as a hierarchical model, for example. So I can use I can create an op-amp first. Then using those op-amps, I can create some other amplifier, and then I can use that amplifier in some other circuit. and so on and so forth. So that's what this sub-circuit feature is about. And this device model, which I'm speaking of, is the ability. So for example, if I have two diodes, one N4007 and one N4148, so there are obviously some differences between those, but how do you tell the software that these two, I want to simulate the circuit for one N4148? So for that, what you do is the manufacturer of these semiconductor devices provide you with a SPICE file. So the SPICE file can be, we provide some SPICE files ourselves, and some are provided, some can be exported from the outside world. So if you just go to the internet and type a semiconductor device number and look for its device model, you will easily find it. You can export that in eSIM and use that in your design. And a last option, and the last feature is PCB design layout. Yash, can you please change the slide? So this is a sample circuit which I've shown. So if you see, this is just a constant 5 volt circuit. So on one end, I'm providing a AC output, AC input. It is going through a rectifier, and then I have a 7805 IC in between, which steps down the 12 volt to another 12 volt to 5 volts. So here what we have done is, what you can see, as you can see on the screen. So the diodes, so the characteristics of the diodes is specified by the SPICE file, which I just talked about earlier. And this 7805 block. So now this is a regulator IC. So you cannot just specify its behavior like that. So that's why it is modeled as a sub-circuit. Say in case now you say your requirement is, you know, I have a I do not want 5 volts output, I want 12 volts output. So what you can do through eSIM is you can just edit the sub-circuit of this 7805 and make the internal changes according to the data sheet, and your output will be similar to 7812. Next slide, please. So once you verify or get a particularly good results for your simulations, obviously. Am I audible? Can someone respond?
Yes, audible.
Once in a while it will.
Yes, sorry. So as I was saying earlier, so once you get satisfactory simulation results, obviously you will want to fabricate your own circuit and get it manufactured and use it most likely in most likely scenarios. So what you see on your screen right now is there are two images. On the left hand side is the PCB design layout, which we have, which I have done for the earlier shown circuit. So this is the same circuit which gives you a constant 5 volt DC output. So the design of that is shown on the left hand side, and eSIM also gives you the facility to convert your design into Gerber format. So Gerber formats is what globally accepted standards by which you can provide your design to manufacturers. So say if your manufacturing unit is in Noida and you are sitting in Chennai and you want to get this board manufactured, so you cannot, instead of sending a whole bunch of files, you can just send your Gerber file and it conveys all the information needed to the vendor, and they can just directly print it out for you. So all of these designs are done in eSIM, and there's a lot of flexibility in that. So next slide, please. So we have got, in terms of advanced features, we have a feature called NGSDL in eSIM. So say not everyone is interested in analog electronics. So if there are some students who wish to do their higher education, or who in VLSI, or someone who is just getting started with digital electronics through hardware descriptive language, that is SDLs. So what we have is a feature called NGSDL, through which you can write a piece of code in VHDL language which describes a logical circuit. eSIM will produce a block for you which you can then use in a circuit. For example, if you want to write a logic of a half adder, you can just write the code. If you want to see how a half adder works through HDL, just write the code for it, it will give you a block that you can use in a schematic, so you can convey that information that okay, this is my circuit, this is how it is supposed to work. And this is just a standalone example of for a model. So if you have, I will show an example, complex example later. This can also be used in a mixed signal block. So if you have a flash ADC which has an analog block and which has a digital block, so you can design your analog circuit using op-amps and other things, and you can have your digital circuitry on one hand. And we have actually tested this part. So mixed signal design, mixed signal simulation is very much possible in eSIM. We have tested it through various examples. You can actually get our software and run few examples for yourself and yeah, give your feedback on that. And second feature is the microcontroller simulations. So by writing an emulator for the instruction set architecture for 80Tiny25 series, what we have done is we have included support for microcontroller simulation. So and we are slowly moving towards Arduino, adding support for Arduino also. Right now it is partially supported. Next slide, please. So what you see on your screen here is an example of one of the mixed signal circuit. So if you see on your on the left hand side, you have some op-amps which are being fed some inputs, which is your analog circuitry. In middle on the top side, there is a thermometer to binary block. So that is a digital block that was written in VHDL. Then below that block, you see a microcontroller schematic for the microcontroller. So output of that digital block is fed to the microcontroller, and based on its input, it is going to produce some waveforms. The intended waveform is that based on the inputs given to this comparators, you will see a decreasing PWM wave at the output of the microcontroller. So you have a full working mixed signal circuit here. Next slide, please. So these are the diagrams of it. These are the simulation results of the earlier shown circuit. So I will not go into detail as we are short on time. Next slide. So we have got another interesting features through the combined efforts of our interns and some external resources. We have actually come up with a parser which can help users like you or your students to move away from proprietary tools such as PSpice or LTSpice. So first is the PSpice to LTSpice KiCad converter. So if you have a particular library or you have a schematic that is already made in PSpice and you want to use that in eSIM, so we have made a parser. All you have to do is just run few scripts. You can just upload them through our website, and we will give you back the schematic that you can use in particularly in eSIM. And similarly, there is a similar parcel for LTSpice also. So this was developed by a person named Laurent Charrier, and we have taken it forward through one of our interns' efforts. And currently, it is tested it is working on MS Windows OS. So we have tested that. So if you are worried about how do I make a transition from PSpice or LTSpice to eSIM, so we have that. We have taken care of that. Next slide, please. So I will talk about some of the activities that we do under FOSSEE, specifically under eSIM FOSSEE. So we have a circuit simulation project. So what we do is we encourage students, teachers, or even enthusiast professionals to take up any circuit that they see, whether it is in a book, either it is in a journal, if they have seen it on the internet, and things like that, or it is implemented in some other commercial tool, for example. And if you want to replicate that in eSIM, all you have to do is just propose a circuit and simulate it and upload the files on our web interface. We have and as a recognition, as a thank you, or to recognize you as for your efforts, we will give you honorarium and a certificate for it. We have about 135 completed circuits at the moment, and around 20 or so are currently in progress. So there is no time limitation for this. or there is no specific spot. Whenever you like, you can upload, you can propose a circuit. Once we approve it, all you have to do is upload the files and we'll give you a certificate for it. Now this the lab migration activity is specific to teachers. Here what we do is we just if you're using Spice or OrCAD or some other tool in your labs for EDC or digital, provide you support. Instead, we will give you a certificate and some honorarium for using eSIM for a long period of time. Next slide, please. So some of the future scope that we want to add in eSIM is currently there is support for only VHDL. In future, through possibly through crowdfunding, crowdsourcing efforts, we would like to have support for Verilog also. And another feature that we would like to add is RTL synthesis. So just simulating it is not enough. Just the students need to get the feel of how the synthesis process works, and they should be able to see it for themselves. So that is something in the pipeline. Then OM edit is something that will be that will come up in the DWSIM presentation as well. Microcontroller support. So right now we have support for AVR microcontrollers. If anyone wishes to contribute, to the efforts to add STM or PIC or some other Texas Instrument family controllers, you are please very much welcome to. And there is also the part to. We have also got an option which is a web-based eSIM. So that will be covered by my colleague Nagesh in some time. So I'd like to conclude this by saying that you can contribute to any of these tasks, not just the activities that we do, but the development also. If you have expertise in electronics or software design, please come forward and join us in this great effort. Next slide, please. And finally, so how do you go about learning eSIM? So we have created some spoken tutorials for it. So you can just so there are around 12 to 13 spoken tutorials for eSIM. You can visit this website spoken-tutorial.org and look for eSIM spoken tutorials. It will give you a clear idea on how to install the software and how to run it. And if you want more information about eSIM as a whole, please visit eSIM.fossee.in. And now I will request my colleague Mr. Rajesh Kushalkar to take over from here.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Just once again, I have a small, I want all people to stick to the time. All presenters, please watch the time. Because I don't think Saurabh knew the time that he had taken. So please do that, otherwise you will be unfair to people who are going to present later. Okay?
Okay.
Because Saurabh has already taken 15 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, can you please load the files? Yeah.
Yes, sir. I'll do that. Just a second.
Kanan sir, I am Vineet from MNIT. Kanan sir, let them go at their own pace. We are there, not a problem.
You're okay? Because no, actually what will happen is towards the
okay.
you will ask
I'm just requesting, sir. I am requesting, sir, all speakers, they can go at their own pace. We have time, not a problem, sir.
Sir, even NIT, Bharat Gupta from NIT Patna, we can go up to like 6:30 or even little bit later also.
Yeah, but what will happen is because there are 9 presentations, if everybody exceeds by 5 minutes, then it will be, last person
will follow you, sir.
5 minutes possible. I want everybody to maintain discipline. They should know how to stay within the allotted time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure, sir.
Right, sir.
Few minutes, okay, 1 or 2 minutes.
You,
yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. This is Rajesh Kushalkar. So I'm heading the open source hardware initiative at FOSSEE. So there are a lot of questions generally asked, what is open source hardware? So everybody has heard about the software part, open source software and all this thing. But what is open source hardware? So open source hardware is basically, it is a mix up of hardware where you share your schematic design for electronic or any mechanical design with the dimensions and everything, how to manufacture it and everything. Plus, if there is a electronic process is there, so how to program that devices and all this thing is shared under one roof. So this is all is called as open source hardware. Slides, can you just skip it directly to the fourth slide? Next slide. Next. Since the time is a bit worried, so I'm just directly going to the needs of today's today's industry. For we require all these technologies required. So AI, IoT, robot process automation, mobile application development, web technology, augmented reality, virtual reality, security, and more. So these are the requirements of the today's this thing. Next slide, please. So how one of the efficient kickstart one can achieve is using the Arduino. Arduino is a prototyping platform. It consists of both hardware and software. So one can learn doing many projects using Arduino. Next slide. So we also have projects on Scilab Arduino where Arduino is controlled using Scilab Xcos. So one can even control Arduino using Python, Relay, and many more languages. We have one more open source project called as OpenPLC. The version 1 is based on Omega 16 and uses an open source software called LD Micro. It uses a basic concepts of ladder logics and for explaining the concept of in version 1. Version 2 is based on Raspberry Pi and it uses a software called 4DX. It's an industry 4 ready system where students can definitely learn the various parts of 4DX and OpenPLC. Next slide, please. So how can we get started with Arduino? FOSSEE and Spoken Tutorial have created a series called on Arduino. The step-by-step method shows how to use Arduino from the very beginning. Please, the next slide. So in Spoken Tutorial, there's a very best method what has been used is a side-by-side method. So it covers basic identifying various components, how to use breadboard, installation of Arduino software, a walkthrough of Arduino IDE. So very first program what we generally write is a hello world in the programming languages, but in the hardware world, it is a blink of LED. So you can just write your first program called the blink of LED. It's the hello world for the Arduino. The circuits are explained very well with even the code is explained why it is written there, how it is, everything is given. So there are a lot of tiny experiments given, small experiments like creating a mood lights, creating a tricolor LED, how to use a 7-segment display, how to use a LCD display, and how to connect with various sensors and much more. We can also do assembly language programming using Arduino. So that is also covered in the spoken tutorial of Arduino. Next slide, please. So we have come with a website OSHW, which stands for Open Source Hardware Policy.in. This website is dedicated to the faculties, various faculties and students of various institutes across India. This where people can submit their hardware projects to be released in open source. This site will help the students to showcase their contribution in the open source community, and it can share with the industry too for future job prospects also. So here the students can definitely put a step-by-step method how he has completed the project, including the small video, code files, everything will be shared on this open source hardware. So please do register on opensourcehardware.fossee.in. Next slide. So there are some glimpses of Arduino, how it is used in various projects. As you can see, it is used in robotics, prosthetic hand in medical, image processing, industrial automations, agriculture, IoT, and many, many more. Next slide, please. A prototype based on Arduino has been launched also as an nano satellite. So Arduino is everywhere. So it connects you to a physical world, and you can get all the physical data at the site. So there are a lot of things that can be done with the Arduino. Next slide. During this pandemic, the ventilator was one of the most shared open source hardware in the community. So this is just examples that I would like to share with you. Next slide. So limitation is only in our mind, but if we use our imagination, possibilities are endless. So that is what I would like to say. You have to just imagine what all things can be done with Arduino and other things, and you can definitely do well with this Arduino software. Next slide. So I'll end up with a presentation. So anyone would like to interested in joining or contribute to the open source hardware, please feel free to mail us at a given contact details. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. I think I can just give it to Nagesh. Yeah.
Thank you, Saurabh and Rajesh. I'm Nagesh Karmali, along with Firuza, will be presenting Arduino on cloud. I would request Yash to open the slides, please. Yash, you are there?
Yes, I have shared my screen, Nagesh. You can see it.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah. So we'll be presenting on eSIM and Arduino on cloud. These are the two projects that we have developed along with 6 interns, 6 FOSSEE fellows during lockdown. So can you go to the next slide, please? So we have Arduino on cloud and eSIM. So I'll go through eSIM first and then Arduino. Next slide, please. So we have these features. These features, I believe that Saurabh has already covered some of them. So these are very basic features. We have some ERC checks for the circuit. There are components like resistor, capacitor, transistors, and there is a schematic editor where you can actually build your circuit. We use a simulator called ngSpice at the backend, so which is a standard one, and so which is already available, which Saurabh is also using. So netlist is generated. I mean, whenever a circuit is built, netlist is nothing but a set of nodes. Nodes represent the components, and the edges represent the connection between the components. So we have 4 types of solvers. One is a DC solver, DC sweep, transient analysis, and AC analysis. The code is available in GPL version 3. As I said, this was developed during lockdown. So can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so can you play this presentation? I mean, the video. Yeah, this is a small demo which showcases how eSIM interface looks like, and how user can actually build a circuit. So you can go to the gallery, get one, which is already available. And then on the you can see the how the circuit is connected. In fact, this circuit can be constructed based. I mean, there is a drag and drop approach. So ERC checks, and you see the netlist here. I mean, this is a set of nodes which are connected, and you can see how we can proceed for simulation. You can enter. So this is a transient analysis. I mean, people in electronic would be able to understand what is happening here. So there are set of waveforms. We are out displaying all the waveforms. So one of the waveforms which you are interested would be a sinusoidal wave, and that is the output that you would be looking for. Yeah, can we go to the next presentation slide, please? Yash, can we move on to the next slide?
Yeah,
okay.
Just a second.
Thanks, not a problem. No, before that. No, before.
Is it?
No, before.
On cloud.
Okay. Sorry, it was the video. Yeah, got it.
Before this.
Okay. Sorry. Okay.
Slide 5.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes. So these are the features for Arduino on cloud. You have a simulator which actually tries to simulate what the user is writing. So the code is included in the form of an INO files, which is nothing but even Rajesh described the INO file in his presentation. So it's a set of setup and the loops, which it's a very simple construct.
पण असं दुसऱ्या बाजूला असं झालं ना की आता
you have editing very similar to the eSIM, where the users can assemble components and connect them together, and then you can go for simulation. So simulation will depend on what the code is written, and so this is also in open source, which is GPL version 3. So developed by just 2 FOSSI interns during lockdown. Can we go to the video, please? Yeah. Can we play the video? Yeah. So you can see the front end, and you can see the set of components which are displayed on the left. I mean, you can drag and drop onto the workspace. You can connect certain components like LEDs, motors, buzzers, and whatever based on your requirements. And so you need to know which pin you will have to connect. So that is what you need to know, right? And so, like for example, negative is connected to one of the ports of the Arduino. So you see the code, I mean, which can be written. This is a very simple code. It's going to blink the LED. I mean, you can copy and paste here, and then you can go for simulation. It's going to simulate. It's going to run this front-end simulator, and this is how it's going to look like. So yes, can you stop the video and then we'll proceed to the next slides? Yeah. Okay, so the major technologies and processes used here we have at the back end, you have ngSpice, which is an open source. Then you have Arduino compiler, which actually converts your the code which is written. So the whole both eSIM and Arduino, they access the same backend. So that is why you have Arduino and compiler and ngSpice at the backend, MySQL and MongoDB for storing database. Then you have Django with REST APIs, where Celery is used for task distributed queuing and Redis for queuing mechanism. The front end is developed using React and MX Graph for eSIM, and for Arduino it is Angular. and AVR 8JS. Then in production, we use Nginx and scalable Docker networks. So we have a communication. We achieve this where people communicate and raise issues. That's on GitHub. We also have a Discord chats where people collaborate and try to discuss something. I will show you in a bit of a second. So collaboration is achieved through pull requests, code review, merging. All of these activities happen. GitHub actions for CD. This is a continuous integration, continuous deployment build strategy, which we use so that you don't have to all the time build it on your computer. It's once the code is merged, it gets built automatically on GitHub. Okay, so some sanity checks are already done. Can we go to the next slide, please? Okay, so here I want to talk about collaboration and communication because that's the most important thing. So can we go to the next slide? Yeah, so if you see, we have a GitHub repo here. I mean, GitHub is nothing but where the code is put finally. I mean, it's a place where developers or testers or anybody, document writers, they can contribute and they can. You can see two tabs. One is, I just highlighted two of them. That is your documentation. If you want, you can go and check the documentation. I mean, it will be useful because it will give you a lot of information. Then you can discuss with us. I mean, you can see the blue button there, and you can go and directly get invited into the chat. I mean, that is the integration which is already done. You can see the contributors on the right. I mean, these are the people who have actually worked for this project. They are from other colleges, and this happened during the lockdown. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so this is our so if you go to the docs and click there, and you would reach here where you can see how somebody can contribute to this project. I mean, this is open source, so anybody has access to the code. They can do a pull request. They can do a lot of modifications. They can talk to us. So there are some guidelines which you need to follow. That is how the code gets integrated. Can we go to the next slide, please? So this is our chat. I mean, you can see there are a few people, probably 12, 13 people here. I mean, you can see how communications are happening. If you see on the left, you have ideas, bugs, docs. I have not put up all the screenshots, but there are 4 of them, just to give an idea of what types of discussions can happen on this discussion forum. So can we go to the next slide, please? You can still see almost, I mean, some code, somebody's trying to discuss code, somebody's talking about, some activities. Yeah. Can we go to the next slide, please? You can see the LCD is getting built here. That is, I mean, they're trying to work on how to build that LCD. And so that's very interesting that you can discuss. So can we go to the next slide? I mean, these are all discussions. I wanted to show you, what the discussion, how chat can help. And can we go to the next slide? Yeah, thanks. So long-term goal, eSIM, we started small. Probably it's very basic at this moment. We want to move to maybe a little bit complex VLSI designs and things like that. We need to incorporate a lot of other things which we haven't done at this point. Then Arduino, I mean, various boards, whichever are the most hot selling or available in the market with lots of components and IoTs. I mean, incorporating other simulation domains. We are presently working on DWSIM. I mean, trying to get it ported on the web. There are other areas that is possible: mechanical, civil, electrical, computer science, lots and lots. And so data analytics, I mean, these tools can also be available online. So I just put them for some reference and interact. So one of the things possibly could be some textbook mechanism where you get a learning path for the learner, so that the user can actually follow that path and probably not get lost. And another one is auto grading simulation assignment. So somebody submits a simulation, so now it has to be graded. Now, is it possible? So that is our future goal. And then we want to build a large community of diverse contributors, not just developers. I listed some of them on the next slide. We believe that a lot of crowdsourcing activities can be generated. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so you can see, I mean, so how we can contribute. I mean, if you have domain expertise, probably you can help us. I mean, I mean, it can be through research or whatever. Product design is also another thing. I mean, you need to see that the product turns out to be good. I mean, it is usable. It has to be as easy as possible. It has to be probably also on mobile, because I mean, people nowadays, they are used only to they use mobile more often than a computer. So we need to look from this angle also. We need to see even performance engineering at this point, because if thousands and millions of people are going to use this system, then the cloud should not crash. So I mean, if you have inputs, I mean, you're welcome. I mean, you can come onto the chat. You can discuss with us. Architecting, designing, automating, coding, developing. If you are a developer, we are looking for you. Process engineering, of course, because that's the most important thing. I mean, after development, because if you don't have a right process, your development is not going to work. So, and then of course, technical writing, and if you have marketing experience, probably you can take it further. I mean, we can still discuss on all of these things, and you can join us at our chat. Can you go ahead, please? Yeah, why work on this project? Because it's open source, open content, available to you, anybody can use, right? So collaborate and contribute to the society back. Building teams lead to better problem solving rather than individually doing it, because you are heard by somebody and somebody takes it further, and then it becomes a big thing. Apply theory in practice, not just theory, because you actually perform some experiments. Then you see today's world is multidisciplinary. It is not so if you're a computer science guy, it doesn't mean that you do only computer science, or you have to apply in biology or physics or anything, so it's quite diverse, and it's evolutionary. So we are looking at an approach which is evolutionary. We are saying that the architecture or any design that is already gone in the system, it doesn't mean it has to be, I mean, it will die after some time, or because there is always a life cycle or life for the product. So we are looking at various approaches where we want to evolve architecture, evolve design, creativity and innovation. I mean, that is where we should be looking for. And also, I mean, once you, if you are on this project, probably you should have that professional recognition. You get a list of contributors somewhere. You will be having some role to work on it. And okay, so can we go to the next slide, please? So what we are saying is that let's build things together rather than a very small team or just one person or a few set of people doing it. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, for more information, this is the GitHub source code link. I have a direct link which you can use if you are familiar with the GitHub style of the links, and there is a very direct, I mean, there is a bit.ly URL. I mean, it's a short form which will get directed to our the previous link. So this is just bit.ly/cloud/simulation. It's that easy. So we have a meetups. I mean, if you want, you would like to join, I mean, you can join us at chat of the chat server. We have you can using this link, you are already invited, so you can just click on it and you will find yourself inside the server. So bit.ly/cloud-simulation-chat. And then we have these email addresses. You can use this mode of communication if we would like to hear a lot of things from you. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, so this feedback is very important for us. This is for Saurav's presentation as well as my presentation. So both the questions do present in this feedback. I would like the participants to have to actually scan this QR code and answer the feedback. So we can wait here for maybe 30 seconds or something like that. I'll move on to the Arduino feedback. Can you? Oh, how to? Oh, so you have to scan this using Safe app, and on the right bottom you will find one a round blue mark which can be used to actually scan this QR. Yeah, this is the Safe app. Or you can take a photo and then we can go to the next feedback. This feedback is open for some time. I know there is some delay in Google, YouTube, and this point where we are delivering. Can we go to the next feedback? This is for the Arduino. It's combined feedback for Rajesh's and mine. So you can scan it using your Safe app. Okay, if you are using Android, you don't need to actually enter this course code or anything like that. But you scan just the QR code. But if you are on iOS, I believe you need to enter this course. So I see some comments still not working. I believe that on the once you have to get registered with your Gmail first. That's signing up, and then once you signed up, you have on the right bottom there's a link which will actually be a QR. No, quiz is not started. No, I think I have taken this quiz and this quiz is already active. Can you do it on that?
Priyam is already doing it.
Okay. Registration code. I think registration code is mentioned here. It's done. Okay. I go. It's working fine. Okay, fine. Sure. Can you show the first one? Can you go to the first one, please? Yeah. Thanks. You can actually take a photograph and then probably submit it later. Okay, I assume that you have gone through how to scan. Right. I think there are some issues somewhere. I may not be able to help you at this time. I don't know. Okay, can we go to the you can flash the Arduino, and then if there are some questions, maybe we are there to answer. All of us, Rajesh, me, and Saurabh will be answering.
Maybe what we can think that participant can ask at a chat box. Sir, I think there is a you can have access. You have access of a chat box, so probably participants can ask their query at chat box. Meanwhile, if we can go for a next one.
Yeah, I think we can go for the next one. Yeah.
And those who are having a doubt, they can ask it chat box. I think they can reply. No issue. So next is for Ankit or next is for Nagesh? Okay.
No, I have already done. So next is Python.
So next is Python, and it will be presented by Yash. And Ankit is not able to become a panelist, so please unmute him. He is an attendee in the list. So please unmute him, and he will start the presentation.
Now Ankit can speak what I believe.
Am I audible?
Yes, Ankit.
Yes, Ankit.
Thank you. Yes, so by the time, Yash will set up the slides. I am Ankit. I'm a part of the Python team in the FOSSEE project at IIT Bombay. So we usually deal with all the sort of frameworks. Next slide, please. So we have four major activities that we focus on as a part of the team, as a part of the Python initiative within FOSSEE. The first is a self-learning Python course. The second is the remote Python workshops that are conducted for colleges on a college level basis. Third is a learning management system called Yaksh, which I'll talk about shortly. And the fourth is the most recent one, which is FOSSEE animations. We'll talk about that as well once we reach that section. Next slide. Right. So the self-learning Python course is basically a self-driven independent course that is provided to everybody. It is available openly and freely on our homegrown learning management system, which is available for everyone. You can basically go to the Yaksh LMS, as it is called, sign up there, enroll for a monthly Python course that is available, and you can then work through the exercises and work through the material. So the course is designed such that it has video material for you to understand and practice, and it has certain exercises and quizzes within the course which you can give as a part of the course to understand the material better. The evaluation happens automatically as a part of the platform. If you are interested in a certificate, there is a certification exam that happens at the end of that month, for that particular course. This is usually, we are trying to run it as a paid model. You have to sign up for that particular certification exam, pay for it, and you can sort of give the test. And once you clear that test, you get a certificate with the relevant grade. You can find out more details about the format of the course and what all procedures are involved on the link that is mentioned in the slide. Next slide, please. The second initiative is Python workshops that happen on a college level basis. So what we do is we basically interact with certain coordinators or point of contacts from every college. The point of contact is supposed to get in touch with us. We have a workshop booking system that is available. So the point of contact signs up on that booking system. He reserves a spot for his students for a set of 3 days or 2 days or 5 days or whatever. And we provide all the material. The coordinator is supposed to sort of coordinate and handle the material that is being run. And we help and stay online so that we can provide assistance and support. Given the current situation, we are trying to transition from a format where the students used to come in one college to more free-form work from home sort of a situation where the coordinator will still be handling all the tasks for his college, but we will try to coordinate and try to set up things so that the students can attempt the course from their own homes, and we will still be available so that they can get live assistance and get their doubts solved. Next slide, please. So till date, we've sort of till date, these are the rough stats that we've had. We've had 15,000 plus learners who have learned from our courses on Python. So we have a basic Python learning course, we have an advanced Python course as well, and these are the number of students who have approached us and learned from us. There have been around 3,000 coordinators and colleges who have also collaborated with us to run workshops for their colleges. We have collaborated with the KV Sangathan, the Kendriya Vidyalaya Sangathan, to train their teachers as well on the Python software, because CBSE schools also have had compulsory Python training now in their curriculum. So we've been training their teachers as well. Next slide, please. So I think there was a slide that was skipped. I'm not sure. Right. So Yaksh is the homegrown in the learning management system that we have built ourselves. It is built on top of Python, obviously, and a web framework called Django. It is being used for all the learning initiatives that I spoke till now. Apart from that, we have been trying to promote and push it so that colleges in and around the country can also try to set it up and use it. It is basically a learning management system. What that means is that you can design and set up a course on the system itself. A person can log in, attempt the course, look at the material, attempt tests, quizzes. You can have MCQs and quizzes to evaluate his learning process, and you can also evaluate his grades and evaluate his reports, right? So it is a complete end-to-end management where the student comes in, learns something, gives a test, and then the instructor himself can also evaluate what is happening and judge what the student has learned or not. Given the philosophy that we have to keep, we should have software that is free and open source. The platform itself is also available online for free to use. You don't have to even contact us for that matter. You can completely get it for free on the GitHub repository. You can set it up on your own. There is a very detailed documentation that is available there for you own if you want. In case you are in need of assistance, or you're not a completely technical person, or you don't have access to a technical person to set it up, we also available. You can get in touch with us and we can coordinate with your college, coordinate with the system administrator at your team, within your team, and then help you set it up on a server that you have. This is not chargeable because the software itself is completely free and open source. We just help you set it up so that we understand that the software is being used by someone somewhere. Currently, the software is used within IIT Bombay by a few professors for their own courses. It is being used by a few colleges in and around Mumbai, and they're evaluating how to use it. I just wanted to plug in because I heard that there was a bit of discussion. There was a question answer session where somebody asked about the costs involved of teaching students when the students are learning remotely. There are obviously software that are available that are licensed, so the costs are higher because you have to buy a license and then you need assistance with setting up the whole software. In this case, a very viable option is using some LMS or some learning management system that is freely and openly available online, so that the costs are considerably lesser, which means you save on costs and eventually save on fees, right? Next slide, please. Next slide. Hello.
Yes, Ankit.
Am I audible?
Yes, Ankit, you are audible.
Okay. I unfortunately can't see if the slide has changed or not. So
The slide
I'm
is
not sure
still
if
the
yes.
old one itself. He has not changed
I
it.
guess yes, she's not able to hear me. Maybe I'm not sure.
Yes.
Yes, can you hear me? Not sure.
He is telling he's changing, but it is not changing here.
Oh, some sort of broadcast
Yeah,
issue.
he's just checking. Just a moment.
Meanwhile, I think maybe there are few questions that are there. Maybe I can read it out. Maybe any one of your team member can give the answer. So the question is from Ashok is what would be a good platform to design and evaluate MCQ in mathematics? Huh?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question?
What would be the good platform to design and evaluate MCQ? Multiple choice question. I think
This question, is it?
yes.
So there are a lot of other, there are a lot of learning management systems that are available for free online. You can evaluate those if you need to. I would be a little selfish when I say that you can obviously use the online test Yaksh platform that is available. You can actually set it up and you have a way of designing quizzes in that within the software itself.
Okay. Another question is what is the cost of the Python workshop for students and faculty if probably if anybody is proposing from your end? Yes. Can you hear me? Yes. Ankit? I'm not sure. Probably. Yes, Anand sir.
So this actually the problem is something similar to what was told by the previous speaker, the Honorable VC of SRM. When we started the project, FOSSI project, the government gave all the support, paid completely. Now there is an encouragement that we have to raise our resources, right? And in fact, the ability to raise resources ourselves is seen as a proof that what we are doing is acceptable to the public. It is acceptable; they are actually willing to pay, right? In fact, that's why we in fact started with our paid membership in spoken tutorial. In fact, we even made a promise to the government that in the first year we will raise so much and so on, which we were able to fulfill. So, this is something that we cannot tell right now, the answer that you're asking, because it depends on how many days of workshop it is, how many people there are, and various issues are involved. So it is not something that we can tell over here. However, we do is we have just announced a workshop on DWSIM. Is being done by the FOSSI project. And the details are there on the web page. If you go and see, you will find it. Okay. In fact, somebody asked Doordarshan CEO, why is it there are advertisements in Doordarshan? So that CEO said that it reduces the burden on the government because Doordarshan is a government organization. Its staff members are paid salaries. If Doordarshan itself can raise money, then to that extent, the government burden will come down. As you know now, the government is in a, everybody is in a problem because there are not many economic activities. The tax collection is less. The government has less collection, less money to spare. On top of it, there are other things to worry about, more important things like midday meals and so on to take care of. So the government has a lot less money to fund projects such as maybe yours, such as ours, and so on. So it is not, it's an evolving thing. We are not able to answer it. For whatever tutorial that is already workshop announced, it's on the web. So I'm going to stop here. Have you been able to solve the problem?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is solved now. Ankit, can you please start? I'll just share my screen and continue the presentation. Yeah.
Yes,
sir, please make Yash the presenter, sir.
Present. Yes, sir.
I think yes is already by default. Okay. Okay. Yes is now present.
Ma'am, everyone, are you able to see the screen now? The presentation?
Yes, it is an X screen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ankit, you can take over. Sorry. Yeah.
Sir, is Ankit unmuted? He is an attendee.
No, I think hard, but he's unmute only.
Okay.
I have an option of mute only. I think he is unmute only. Maybe there is some issue at his end.
So actually, these are the statistics which he's just showing. So Yaksh is now freely available and anyone can download it and they can start using it in their institute. And the technical support, most of the time they contact us, whoever has done, for example, TCET, Mumbai and all are using it. And they actually contact us for any technical support. And in Kendriya Vidyalaya also they are using to train their faculty members using Yaksh. And so these are the places where Yaksh is being used. Can you give the next slide, Yash? Okay. So this demo actually shows how you can log into the Yaksh LMS system and how you can set up a quiz, how you can administer it and use the Yaksh LMS system for evaluating the students' performance. So we have actually given test logins as teacher 1 to till teacher 50. So teacher 1, teacher 2, teacher 3, all these things you can use for logging into the system, and the password is also the same. So you can check the system and see how feasible it is for your courses and all.
So we'll
okay, great. Now Ankit can start. Yeah.
So that instance is always available. It will also be available after the session, so you can sign in anytime and check it out. The fourth initiative that we have been focusing on recently is creating animations, that is animated videos to demonstrate concepts in maths or other subjects. Currently we do have a library of videos available for math. Next slide please. The animation project is basically, like I said, it has been started because the approach is that you cannot there is obviously a better way of understanding mathematical concepts. A lot of mathematical concepts are very visual in the way that they are supposed to be understood, and you cannot always understand it in a notebook textbook kind of a format. you obviously need some sort of multimedia approach, and what better way to do it than animations, right? So the visualizations are built on top of a library, which I'll talk about later. And this library used to build the visualizations. It is used to create an animated video, and you can then sort of understand complex topics like differential equations and things like that. Next slide. Correct. So apart from creating the animations, the team that is responsible for coordinating this particular activity has also been holding workshops all over the country in different colleges to help people understand what the initiative is about, and to also teach them how to create such animations using the library that I spoke about. The team has been recruiting, sort of, getting together people from these colleges, students who are interested to work on such concepts and such topics. They've been getting them together as interns. These interns are then assigned certain topics, and then these interns are supposed to create a comprehensive lecture notes and build animations based on those lecture notes. So students were taken as a part of an individual internship, as well as a part of students are also asked to work on the animations as a part of the fellowship program that we have every summer. Next slide. Right. So we have a library of almost 200 plus animations. Most of the topics, like I mentioned, are focused on math. So we have topics like calculus, multivariable calculus, linear algebra, and things like that. There are more than 50 plus lecture notes that are available, which talk about the topic in more detail. And the lecture notes and the animations are again completely freely available online, and they are shareable and usable under the CC license, the Creative Commons license. Next. If you can see here, there are a few of the GIFs based on the animations that have been built. These animations have been created on top of, based on a particular topic. They have been built using a library called Manim, which is a Python library, Python module. You can actually write out code. The code is then used. The code represents what animation you want to represent. So you can use that to build 2D or 3D animations like the one that you can see on your screen. The Python code represents these visualizations and transformations, and the code is then interpreted or converted into a video file, and then you get these sort of interactive animations. Next slide, please. So like any of the other projects that you've also seen, you are encouraged, your students are encouraged to approach the team to talk about and understand how your students or the students themselves can contribute. Contribution is usually awarded by the work that the student does is verified, it is approved. Usually Professor Prabhu or another IIT Bombay professor is involved, and you are then awarded a certificate based on your contributions, and the work is obviously showcased on the FOSSEE websites. Next slide, please. Right. So you get to work with a lot of different people. You get to sort of interact with the IIT Bombay professors here, and your work is showcased. This is just a sample of the website that you have. So the website, you can go to math.animations.fossee.in, and you can check out the current topics that are available. You can check out what sort of animations have been created and the lecture notes that are available for certain topics. Any of the teachers here who are watching this seminar can also use these freely as a part of your coursework. Next slide. Right. So this sort of ends the session on Python. I would obviously, you're free to ask any questions. But just before that, like you did for the previous sessions, there is a course code and a quiz ID that is available. You can sort of take a snapshot of your screen and store this as a part of your, store it as an image. You can come back anytime and sort of give feedback. So the quiz is basically just a feedback form so that you can sign in and sort of enroll and provide us feedback for the particular session that you have. The QR code is something that you can quickly scan and access the you can access the quiz directly instead of typing in values. In case you have any questions, you can ask them now, you can let me know, or you can leave out comments in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
So, shall we continue or shall we take a break of 5 minutes or so? Please, it's 4:37 now.
Yes, ma'am. I think we had a break of at 4 o'clock for half an hour. Parag sir?
Yes.
Yes,
we can go for 5 to 10 minutes break. Like right now it is 5:38. We will reassemble at 5:48.
4:38.
So 10 minutes break we are giving.
Okay.
So I request all the participants to reassemble here at 4:48. Sorry, I'm just repeating once again, 4:48. Please.